Recording in progress.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Tuesday evening here on our YouTube channel. If you're new to the Wisdom of Kabbalah, please you can visit the website www.kabbalah.info, and if you're interested in studying, please take a look at the first, second and third semester lessons we've got up here. Also on that website you can join Kabbalah Academy, KABU Academy, where you can find people from all around the world, probably your country and city too, who are like-minded in studying the wisdom of Kabbalah. All right, so today we're going to carry on as usual with the topic called Lishma. All right, so this is going to be excerpt number 9. I think you've got the link for it. On the Verge of Lishma is the topic. Selected excerpts, we'll do number 9, Baal Islam's article number 22, Torah Lishma. Okay, Torah is called Lishma for her sake, primarily when one learns in order to know with utter certainty, within reason, without any doubts of the clarity of the truth, that there is a judge and there is judgment. There's a judgment means that one sees reality as it appears to our eyes. This means that when we work in faith and bestowal, we see that we're growing and climbing daily. Since we always see a change for the better. And it is likewise to the contrary. When we work in a form of reception and knowledge, we see that we're declining every day down to the ultimate lowliness in reality. When examining these two states, we see that there is judgment and there is a judge. Since while we do not follow the laws of the Torah of truth, we are punished instantly. In that state, we see that there is just judgment. In other words, we see that this is precisely the best way which is fit and can achieve the truth. This is considered that the judgment is just, that only in this manner can we come to the ultimate goal. To understand within reason, with complete and absolute understanding, of which there is no higher, that only by way of faith and bestowal can we achieve the purpose. Thus, if one studies for this purpose, to understand that there is judgment and there is a judge, this is called Torah Lishma. All right, so let's go to this one again. Now, sometimes we say understanding. If we study to understand, it's like kind of negative, isn't it? Sometimes it's said that's when you study for yourself, and that's lo lishma, not lishma, and so on. So we have to clarify here a few things. So let's go step by step. Torah is called lishma for her sake, primarily when one learns in order to know with utter certainty within reason, without any doubt of the clarity of the truth. There is a judge and there is judgment, right? So I want to see basically when one is studying Torah, one should be studying only in order to discover the creator, that there is the creator and he's doing everything, all right? And that's what we should be studying for, not for any personal benefit, but really studying Torah means that we integrate ourselves into reality in a complete and utter way, and that's what we want to do. So it says there's judgment, there is a judgment, means that one sees reality as it appears to our eyes. This means that when we work in faith and bestowal, we see that we're growing and climbing daily. Growing and climbing daily, obviously, in bestowal. Since we always see a change for the better. And it is likewise to the contrary. When we work in a form of reception and knowledge, we see that we're declining every day down to the ultimate lowliness in reality. All right, so here when we're studying for knowledge, how are we going to know that? See, at the top there, it says, in order to know with utter certainty, within reason as well, right? Not above reason, without any doubt of the clarity of the truth, that there is a judge and there is judgment. So if somebody studies like that, that's called Lishma. all right? But then it says here, when we work in a form of reception and knowledge, right? It's kind of like the same thing, because to know and to have knowledge. We see that we're declining every day down to the ultimate loneliness in reality. Okay, so there must be two versions of it. One is that we want to see the Creator is ruling and there's none else besides him, and want to make sure we are all crystal clear in all facets of understanding. So that, in that case, is going to be for us, is revealing the truth, right? And what we want to do is, that's going to be right at the end of the road, is when one is revealing the truth, and that sinks in as within reason. But until we get to the end of the ladder, we're always going to have to go above reason, because the next degree, if I still have something to correct, I still have to go above the current degree, right? So when I go above my current degree, then the degree I just kind of elevated myself above will become within reason. Right? So the next degree is always above reason, and degree I completed is now within reason. Okay, but every time I go one step higher and build there above reason, okay, and build above reason, what happens is the previous levels within reason also changes. Right? It's like growing up in this world as well, right? So up to a certain, like until your current age, everything you did before is an understanding. And next year will be a different understanding. Why? Because you'll change next year. So spirituality is pretty detailed and multifaceted, right? So every time we're going up a degree, the whole all of the others, complete sum of all the degrees before, also become like understood differently. So every new degree becomes within reason as we elevate ourselves. And this is how it's going to go until the end of the path, right? But if I'm studying just in order to know, right, just know in the form of reception, which means I want to use the information to satisfy myself, then that's a different story. Then that becomes not bestowal, but reception. So when examining these two states, we see that there is judgment and there is a judge. Since while we do not follow the laws of the Torah of truth, we're punished instantly. So if one is not working towards the purpose of life, which is bestowal, and instead their study is like more of a reception of what they can get out of it for their desire to receive, then those are the two different states. So accordingly, if I step out of line, life has to put me back into line, right? It's the same with society. As we step out of society, society punishes us and puts us straight. Same here. In that case, we see that there is just judgment. In other words, we see that this is precisely the best way which is fit and can achieve the truth. This is considered that the judgment is just, that only in this manner can we come to the ultimate goal, to understand within reason, with complete and absolute understanding of which there is no higher, that only by way of faith and bestowal can we achieve the purpose. Thus, if one studies for this purpose, to understand that there is judgment and there is a judge, this is called Torah Lishma. So the understanding that we're talking about here is when the higher purpose of faith and bestowal becomes your purpose. Right? So basically understanding the purpose is faith and bestowal. Faith and bestowal actually are the same thing. Right? Faith doesn't mean I believe, blah, 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 like people do in religions. Okay, so faith is an attribute, it's an attribute of the Creator, and it's called bestowal. So faith and bestowal, they're pretty much the same thing. Attribute of love and bestowal. Let's move on to number 10, unless there's a question. Okay, okay. right here. Number 10. The upper one scrutinizes for the purpose of the lower one. This is excerpt number 10. By which the lower one feels his exaltedness, that is the Creator's exaltedness. At that time, he begins to understand that it is worthwhile to annul before him and cancel his existence before him. Then he feels that all that there is in reality is only because such is his will, that the Creator wants the lower one to exist, but for himself. He wants to annul his existence. It follows that then all the vitality he feels is regarded as Lishma and not for himself. When he feels this, it is considered that he already has the correction of the man, and then he is also fit to receive the mad as well, for there is no contradiction between them anymore. Since the lower one, too, wants the benefit of the upper one and not his own benefit, it's considered that when the upper one gives the lower one mochin, he also gives him the clothing of the mochin, meaning that he gives the lower one the abundance as well as the power of the masach, which is the desire to bestow. This is the meaning of from lo lishma, we come to Lishma. Okay, so let's go through that again as usual. By which the lower one feels his exaltedness. At that time, he begins to understand that it is worthwhile to annul before him and cancel his existence before him. Now, when we're talking about the Creator, it's obviously him here is the Creator, right? But canceling ourselves before the Creator means canceling our egoism towards the attribute of bestowal. So the Creator's exaltedness is his attribute of love and bestowal. Right? So that is what is exalted. And our nature, being egoism, self-reception, and self-benefit, is the opposite of that exaltedness. So on the one hand, we see the lowliness of our personal nature, human nature, and then we see the exaltedness. When we feel the exaltedness of the Creator, then the person can actually annul before the Creator. Then one can actually decide to do that. And then he feels that all that there is in reality is only because such is his will. That the Creator wants the lower one to exist, but for himself, he wants to annul his existence. So the Creator also wants to do the same, wants to prepare us for the same kind of existence, and actually wants to give us that same kind of existence that he is living. So without any thought or consideration about himself. It follows that then all the vitality he feels is regarded as Lishma and not for himself. When he feels this, it is considered that he already has the correction of the man, and then he is also fit to receive the mad. As well, for there is no contradiction between them anymore, since the lower one too wants the benefit of the upper one and not his own benefit. Right, so there what happen is what is man? Man is the prayer, and what's the mud? Mud is the reply to the answer to the prayer. So when they match, that's when the Creator and the created being become like equivalent in form. So the Creator is always thinking about the created being, and the created being is always thinking about the Creator, but nobody's thinking of their own benefit. It's considered that when the upper one gives the lower one mochin, he also gives him the clothing of the mochin, meaning that he gives the lower one the abundance as well as the power of the masach, which is the desire to bestow. This is the meaning of from lo lishma, we come to Lishma. All right. So mochin basically means that the thought, right, of the Creator. So all you have to do, basically, all that a person needs to do is to ensure that his mochin and the clothing of the mochin, which is the masach, match. Obviously, the Creator gives that to a person, but that should be the result of the prayer that a person comes to from the effort in the spiritual work. Okay, so all the attributes of bestowal, all the changes in nature that we get, right, can only be as a result of the work which built inside of us that special demand for bestowal called man. And that prayer the Creator can answer with a reply called amad. And that is when a person moves from Lishma to Lishma, from self-reception to bestow. Any questions? There is one. Okay. Let's do it. Now, Isoke is asking, hi, Mutlu and friends, is our work to come to a common prayer that matches the answer the Creator wants to give us? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it's like we're like kids who are wanting a toy, right? And when we ask for something irrelevant to our parents, obviously they disregard it, right? So they're not going to buy something that's not good or useful or harmful. So most of the time, people out there in the world, they're also praying to the Creator, but they don't get much except a slap in the face, okay? So, well, the reason is you got to ask for the right thing. So if you don't ask for the right thing, you kind of get, shoved around and pushed around. So what we have to do is, through this study, we have to really come to an understanding of what we really want, or at least what we don't want. All right. So, which are actually the same thing. Okay. So if I don't want to be an egoist because I see that's causing me harm all the time and I want to kind of like free myself from that, that's also asking for bestowal. So, that kind of works out because it's the same kind of thing. So if we all work together, all of us should come to a common desire. And that common desire is actually our unity. Because at the end of the day, we're always talking about unity in the wisdom of Kabbalah, how to connect, how to bond, how to unite. But really, what are we uniting with? What are we uniting at? What does that really mean? Okay. It means that we're uniting in one desire. And that's to attain the attribute of bestowal, to raise ourselves above our nature of egos. Okay, so that's what we're really aiming at. So that actually, the whole concept there unifies us, and that's what the term Yisrael, Yashar El, straight to the Creator, come from. What do we want to do? Like, there are a bunch of people that say like this, and everybody's desires are scattered around. We all want different things in corporeal reality, but when we come to study the wisdom of Kabbalah, what we're really doing is we're bringing all our attention to one desire towards the Creator, and that's what's uniting us. So instead of chasing all kinds of silly things in our personal lives of corporeal reality, which are not really going to benefit us with anything, what we do is like focus everything like under a microscope, or like, I don't know, like a magnifying glass. Let's say we like focused on one point, and that's the goal, which is to attain the attribute of the Creator, which is faith and bestowal. Okay. So we're on item number 11. All right. When he sees, this number 11, excerpt from Rabash article 279, why Israel are compared to an olive tree. When he sees that he will not obtain vitality through acts of reception, he begins to perform acts of bestowal, so that the acts of bestowal will give him pleasure. It follows that the suffering reforms him, meaning the suffering he feels when he has nothing from which to derive pleasure makes him become reformed, meaning perform acts of bestowal, since being reformed means bestowal, as it is written, my heart overflows with a good thing. I say, my work is for the king, meaning to bestow. It follows that through the suffering he suffers from having no vitality, he chooses for himself a new way and begins to engage in bestowal. Although this too is with the aim to receive, it is called Lishma, not for her sake. That is close to Lishma, for her sake. This is the meaning of from Lishma we come to Lishma, since the light in it reforms him. Since he acts in order to bestow, by this he begins to feel the light in the acts of bestowal, and that light can then make him bestow. So there you go. So from the study, from the work, from the participation in the process, we come from Lishma, from reception, to Lishma, which is bestowal. Let's read that again. This is a nice one. When he sees that he will not obtain vitality through acts of reception, he begins to perform acts of bestowal so that the acts of bestowal will give him pleasure. And so as we study more and more, we should come to a state where we're actually not getting any taste from our regular life. Okay? Zilch. It follows that the suffering reforms him. So because we're not getting any pleasure, we're beginning to seek something else, right? Just like in life. In life, what are we always seeking? Where we can find pleasure, okay? So when we're studying spirituality, we're in the state where we begin to understand that, there's nothing I can get that will give me pleasure, but where can I get pleasure? We're still, because our nature is reception, our nature is a will to receive pleasure. What's going on really is that we're looking for a new way to get pleasure, and that's from bestowal. It follows that the suffering reforms him because our will to receive is now empty. The suffering is on the will to receive, right? You got to differentiate this a little bit. When we're talking about suffering, it's suffering of the will to receive. It follows that the suffering reforms him, meaning the suffering he feels when he was nothing from which to derive pleasure makes him become reformed, meaning perform acts of bestowal, since being reformed means bestowal, as it is written, my heart overflows with a good thing. I say my work is for the king, meaning to bestow. It follows that through the suffering he suffers from having no vitality, he chooses for himself a new way and begins to engage in bestowal. So this is how we choose bestowal. Okay, from lack of liveliness. Although this too is with the aim to receive, so that's important, right? So that's still in the desire to receive. It is called Lishma. That is close to Lishma. This is the meaning of from Lishma we come to Lishma, since the light in it reforms him. Since the act in order to bestow, by this he begins to feel light in the acts of bestowal, and that light can then make him bestow. So the more we engage in bestowal and acts of bestowal, that attracts us to bestowal. It's like doing something in this world as well, right? The more I do something, I practice something, I become better at it, I get more attracted to it. So here we have to force our nature a little bit because bestowal is against our nature. So we have to ensure that we're in an environment which actually gives us the drive, the push, the inspiration to bestow. Otherwise, it's going to be a drama because who wants to bestow, right? So the environment now has to influence me. The environment needs to convince me. I got to be in the environment that's constantly bestowing, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I need to bestow as well. Okay, so kind of like equalizing myself to the environment. So if everybody is in that direction, because everybody has a small force, right? Nobody has a big, giant force. But all those little forces, all those little inclinations towards bestowal, then they unite, then they can become a force that can influence a person. And that's why the environment is really important, because we're all a product of the environment. So if you've got 10 friends around you that are aspiring for bestowal, then you will also aspire 10 times as much because you're getting force from them. Okie dokie. So let's look at number 12. The advice is that, this is from Rabash, the advice is that if a person sees that he still cannot work Lishma, he should increase his actions in Lo Lishma. Since when he sees that he has done many actions in Lo Lishma, he will have no other choice but to repent and work Lishma, or his entire work will be in vain. The rule is that a person does not toil over a meal and misses it. Hence, if one has done many actions in Lo Lishma, he will not want to lose all his trouble. So he will need to correct all his work so it enters the Kedusha. But one who works Lo Lishma and did not do many works, meaning he did not dedicate much time to the Torah and work in Lo Lishma, he will not have such a need to repent, since he will not have that many actions to lose. For this reason, we must try to do many good deeds, even in Lo Lishma, because this is the reason he will have a need to repent and work Lishma. Okay, so as long as we're not in Lishma, basically we have to add to the work. If I don't add to my work, then I'm not going to really have a desire to change, because we're exerting more and more and more to attain something. And the more I'm doing and the more I'm not attaining, then that is just like going to give me the drive not to waste what I already did. Okay, so I don't want to throw away what I did already in the past. So if I did a lot of actions, I want to make sure I'm keeping that on my account and still add to the account so I can do more in Lo Lishma so we can get to Lishma. Okay. Right, do we have questions? Oh yeah, we do. Patricia's asking, so when our 10 is in a descent and then we come out of it, does that mean we came to a united prayer? Well, we could say that because, but what is a descent, right? First, we've got to clarify what a descent is, right? A descent is our lack of desire in wanting to connect with somebody else. Okay, so, or we're in a weak state, right? What does it mean to be weak in the work? It means I don't have a desire for the work, right? If I don't have a desire for something, it means I'm weak. So to overcome our weakness, we have to help each other out, okay? So it can't just be the prayer. It needs to be acts within the group where we're helping each other out, plus the prayer to the Creator, okay? That is like, I'm working and I'm asking the Creator for help because I can't do it on my own. And if we all are all in that same direction, then we should get an answer to it. Also, if I see the group in a descent, I'm always seeing it through my eyes, right? Because remember, we studied the perception of reality, right? So everything is in me. So I'm seeing the group in a descent. So if I'm seeing them in a descent, that gives me an opportunity to act and to do something to elevate them, right? Because I'm seeing them in a descent, okay? So that's actually a good thing. Another question is, what does it mean to be a friend? A friend, what does it mean to be a friend? Is when the friends are on the same path for the same goal, okay? What makes us friends in Bnei Baruch is our desire to attain bestowal. That is what makes us friends. Otherwise, in this corporeal reality, what is a friend, right? Who I get pleasure from, that's it. If I wasn't getting any pleasure from my friends, I'd say, who needs these people? Okay, so in corporeal reality, we're looking at people and we're thinking, can I use them and have fun with them? If not, well, let's not waste time, okay, because life goes by quick. That's what a friend is. In spirituality, a friend is where both of us or all of us in the 10 want to get out of our ego and want to think in a different way where we want to love and care for each other so that we can attain the purpose of life. So by loving and caring for each other, we're not trying to be goody-goody two-shoes, right? What we want to be is spiritual, like in the same attributes of the Creator. And that desire is what's connecting us, and that's called our friendship. So our connection in spirituality is that point where we all want to be in faith and bestowal, connected to the Creator. Okay, otherwise in corporeal reality, there are no friends. Okay, there just isn't. I like to call them associates. Okay, because you use them and then that's it. Okay, I know it sounds mean, but think about it logically, right? We're not children in the wisdom of Kabbalah. We understand human nature, right? If we have good friends, it's because we understand we have mutual benefit, right? That's just how it is. So if you understand that logically, then you understand that in our egoistic nature, we cannot really have friends. Okay, we can't. It's just not possible. If I'm an egoist, you're an egoist, what kind of a friendship can we have? It's just a temporary deal until the deal goes sour. It's just how it is. Okay, so friendship needs to be in that common goal. Well, in corporeal reality, therefore, you also have people who have a common goal, right? So they're also friends because they could be a part of a team, let's say, or they could be working towards a common goal. Okay, so that would like make them friends as well. Why? Because they connect for a goal. And that goal becomes their connection. So here the spiritual goal becomes our connection to be friends. So in corporeality and spirituality, it's kind of similar. Actually, the friends are a means to an end. Right? But the objective is different in corporeality because there I want to fulfill my desire to receive. So in spirituality, I want to fulfill the desire to receive of the other person. Things are just a matter of changing perspective. Inga is asking, hello. What does it mean that love covers hate? If one is in love, one can't see any hate anymore. Does this mean that we must grow in love every minute? So this constant fighting with ego. Well, love covers all hate means this, that despite the fact that everybody has defects in my eyes, okay, I still love them. Okay, it's like having a baby. They poop, right? And you got to change them all the time. And the poop is a pretty bad smell, okay? For dads, it's a really bad smell. For mums, I often heard, wow, even his poop smells nice, okay? So you see, that's a completely different perspective. Okay, why? Because she loves the baby, right? She's the mum. So for her, even his poop's cute, smells like a flower. All right. And that's just how it is. So that you don't, the love is so strong that you don't see anything bad. Everything is like, everything is from a different perspective. Okay. So we can't see bad things in others then. If I love somebody, I can't see anything bad in them. So we need to grow the love between the friends, right? In all of us, we need to grow the love so that it's always above the defects that we see. And that's how we're constantly overcoming the states. Okay, so let's do another one. Where are we? Number 13? Okay. This is number 13 from Shamati, number 79. Our sages said, from Lishma, not for her sake, we come to Lishma, for her sake. This means that we begin the engagement in Torah and mitzvot in order to give us the wealth of this world and the afterward, and the afterward, and the afterward. Give us the wealth of the next world. When learning in this way, one should come to learn Lishma for the sake of the Torah, meaning that the Torah will teach him the ways of the Creator. And then he should first make the sweetening of Malchut in Bina, which means that he elevates Malchut, called the will to receive, to Bina, which is considered bestowal. That is, that all his work will be only in order to bestow. And then it becomes dark for him. He feels that the world has grown dark on him, since the body gives strength to work only in the form of reception and not in the form of bestowal. In that state, he has but one choice: to pray to the Creator to open his eyes so he can work in the manner of bestowal. Okay, so let's do it again. Our sages said, from Lo Lishma, not for her sake, we come to Lishma for her sake. It's for her sake, because Torah is, or you don't have it in English, but it's like French, right? You've got le, la. Okay, so there are certain words for female and certain words which are like male. And so when you say the table, it's le table. Okay, so it's like a different thing to another word. So it could be male or female. All right. So for the sake of her, for her sake means for the sake of the Torah, because Torah is feminine, right? And why? Because, what does it say here? This means that we begin the engagement in Torah and the commandments in order to give us the wealth of this world, and afterward give us the wealth of the next world. So when a person starts to study the wisdom of Kabbalah spirituality, basically what he's or she is studying for is for benefits, right? We're all self-centered at that time. So what we want to do is achieve a higher level of understanding or higher consciousness. Spirituality, it's like for ourselves. And that's fine, no problem. When learning in this way, one should come to learn Lishma. So from Lo Lishma, we need to change gradually for the sake of the Torah, because Torah is the manual, right? It's the user guide, the user manual to change our nature from reception to bestowal. So for the sake of the Torah, meaning that the Torah will teach him the ways of the Creator. So studying the wisdom of Kabbalah should teach us how to bestow. And then he should first make the sweetening of Malchut in Bina, right? Which means that he elevates Malchut, called the will to receive, to Bina, which is considered bestowal. So we should do that first switch, that first entry into bestowal, which is raising Malchut to Bina. That is, that all his work will be only in order to bestow. And then it becomes dark for him. He feels that the world has grown dark on him, since the body gives strength to work only in the form of reception and not in the form of bestowal. In that state, he has but one choice: to pray to the Creator to open his eyes so he can work in the manner of bestowal. All right, so the more we work, also in the previous excerpt, what did he say? I've got to do more in Lo Lishma if I want to get to Lishma, right? So the more I do, I should come to a state where I feel like I'm losing all my strength, because the body is not working anymore. Why? Because our nature is for reception. So it doesn't work. It doesn't want to work for bestowal. And because of that, a person in that state specifically can ask the Creator for help, okay, to get the power to bestow. And that's the important thing there. So doing a lot of work in Lo Lishma obviously has the benefit of bringing a person to see that his own nature can never allow him to bestow. It's never going to work out. It's never going to happen. Only the Creator can change our nature. So accordingly, a lot of work in Lo Lishma brings a person to demand from the Creator the right prayer. Say, listen, I can't do this and I need help. Okay, and that's really critical, because the Creator won't give you help unless you ask for it. Rightio. And I think that's it with the questions as well, right? Okay, well, let's call it a night. Okay, nice, short and sweet lesson on Lishma. Now, guys, we've got Congress coming up on the weekend. So if you haven't registered, make sure you register, hang out with your 10s and follow the Congress through. If you're not registered to the Congress, or if you are in a 10, you probably are registered, but if you're in a 10 and you're not registered, make sure you get registered. So we all have a great weekend on the weekend with the Congress that's happening in Europe. And then the following week, we're even going to have a better surprise as well. We're going to have another surprise, so stand by. Okay, until next Tuesday. That's right, until next Tuesday. See you guys and have a good one. All the best.